And thank you all for being here with us today. This is such an incredible occasion for all of us. In 2005, our band went to Pasadena. And we thought that that was the most spectacular trip that our band could ever imagine. And now we're going to London. I don't know how we'll top that, but this is a pretty amazing day, and I thank you all for being here. There are some people that I'd like to introduce to you. Some of these people will be speaking again, but for right now I would like to introduce to you Chancellor Robert Davis, the Deputy Lord Mayor of the City of Winchester, and we'll be hearing from him shortly. And Robert Bone, the Executive Director. And now I would like to introduce the stars of our show, the Hempfield Marching Band.
Please join me at this time in welcoming the Executive Director, Mr. Robert Bone.
Good morning, everybody. Well, we first of all have to establish that I'm speaking to you in a language that you understand. And we seem to have done that. And then we next establish that I don't have an accent, but you do. So with that out of the way, we can move on to the more important things. And perhaps the most important thing so far this morning, apart from the warmth of the welcome, which I thank you very much indeed, is the fact that you made, incredibly, our terribly dull national anthem sound nearly as good as your excellent one. So congratulations on that. I can see already that you really are a band as good as State Senator said you. So 8,500 people take part, 72 acts roughly every year, 20 countries around the world, and 16 are marching bands from the United States of America, specially selected every year. The best, the cream of the crop. We have a street audience for the parade every January the 1st of about 2/3 of a million people. Is that a big enough number for you? 650,000 odd, plus a few. Yes? The truth of the matter is, they actually come to see you. The American marching bands, they love them. I mean, everything else we have in the parade is terrific, but you are actually the #1 favorite thing. Honestly, truthfully. You know why? Because we don't have marching bands like you at all in the United Kingdom. Why? Because we play proper football. And just remember that last word, football. I think you sometimes have called it soccer. That's one little piece of advice I'm going to give you when you come to London. Don't ever say soccer. Okay? We play football, you play American football. That's fine. Let's leave it at that. 600 million people all around the world watched the event on television. Not a bad audience, eh? So, have I kind of made you think that you would rather like to come and do this thing? I would like a little bit more enthusiasm. You have to be formally invited by one of the senior patrons of the event to come and take part in the event. Luckily, we've got one here today. Very fortunate. It's our most senior of senior patrons. Clearly not in years, senior that is, but in rank. And we're delighted that he's travelling with us. It's Councillor Robert Davis, who is many things. Former Lord Mayor of the City of Westminster, currently one of the Deputy Lord Mayors of the City of Westminster, but possibly more important than that, one of Her Majesty's Deputy Lieutenants for Greater London, which means that he represents Her Majesty the Queen when she's unable to do things. And he's also a past president and chairman of the London Mayors Association, representing all of the mayors of Greater London. So, pretty important person, really. But he can invite you to come and perform in London's Newsday Parade. And I'm sure he wants to do that. However, we had an early start this morning. I have no idea what sort of thing is it. It would be very advisable, therefore, if, when I ask him to come to the podium in just a second, you give him a very, very, very loud welcome. I reckon you could do that. Will you? Okay. So, without further ado, please welcome Councillor Robert Davis.
That's very kind of you, and it is a great honour to be here today, and I'm delighted that in my honour you brought the British weather with you. Now, I come from the city of Westminster, as you heard, situated in the heart of the capital of the United Kingdom, London. And as you heard, I'm Councillor Robert Davis, one of Her Majesty's Deputy Lieutenants for Greater London. I'm also the longest serving member of Westminster City Council, having first been elected to the City Council some 36 years ago, when I was 5½. Westminster, now being Lord Mayor means that you have to be on your toes the whole time. There are people watching you and everything you do. Now, this reminds me of an incident that happened just before Christmas during my time as Lord Mayor. I was in my office writing a speech when the door flings open and in comes my secretary in a flap, because the editor of the local newspaper was on the phone and wanted to know what I wanted for Christmas. Now, I decided to give it some thought, and I thought I'd better be modest, so I said I'd be very happy with a box of chocolates. Well, I'm afraid I was shocked when I opened that week's edition of the local Christmas edition of the paper. The headlines read, "What the leaders of our community want for Christmas. The Dean of Westminster Abbey wants to end poverty. The Prime Minister wants world peace. And the Lord Mayor of Westminster wants a box of chocolates." Rather embarrassing. Now, the role of Lord Mayor not only involves attending numerous exciting and important events, both national and local, but also includes meeting many famous people, such as the Spice Girls, David Beckham, Robert De Niro, and even One Direction. But the highlight of the merry year is certainly the London Parade and Festival, when we host the biggest and most enjoyable parade in the world, and an amazing series of concerts. Now, the parade itself starts at noon on New Year's Day outside the famous Ritz Hotel, one of the grandest hotels in the world. And then it goes down Piccadilly, named after the frilly Elizabethan collars worn at the time of Elizabeth I, known as Piccadillos. Now it's one of the greatest shopping streets in the world, with the famous Fortnum and Mason department store, which was founded in 1707 by William Fortnum, a footman at the Royal Palace of Buckingham Palace, where Queen Anne was queen. Then as the parade approaches Piccadilly Circus, with all its famous illuminated advertisements, just like Times Square, we see the statue of Eros, the god of love. The parade then goes into Trafalgar Square, past the National Gallery, hosting some of the greatest pieces of art in the world. And there in the centre of Trafalgar Square is Nelson's column, where right at the top of the column is the statue of Admiral Lord Horatio Nelson, with his one eye, commemorating his success at the Battle of Trafalgar. And you will see at his feet 4 massive stone marble lions guarding the monument. And they say that if the lions stand up and walk away, then the British monarchy will come to an end. Now, the last leg of the parade is down Whitehall, the seat of all major government offices, including the Treasury and Foreign Office. And on my tour, you will pass Horse Guards Parade, the oldest and largest military playground in the UK. And that's where foreign heads of state are received by the Queen on a state visit. Well, the participants then perform for the final time as they retire through Parliament Square and past the Palace of Westminster, which now houses the British Parliament. The parade is in fact watched by, as you heard, hundreds of thousands of people, and you will see as you go down the parade that the people lining it, 10 persons deep. Would you like to be part of it in 2019-20? Well, after a tough and thorough selection process to ensure that the parade only comprises the very best, I have with me, you'll be pleased to know, the formal invitation to invite you all to participate in the 2019-2020 London Parade and Festival, an honour bestowed on very few high schools in the United States. And so I will now read you the formal invitation. And it reads, in recognition of a reputation for outstanding performance abilities, the patrons and the organising committee of London's New Year's Day Parade and Festival, in association with Youth Music of the World, the Lord Mayor of the City of Westminster, the Lord Lieutenant of Greater London, and the London Mayors Association, take great pleasure in extending an invitation to your school to participate in the 34th Annual New Year's Day Parade and Festival, to be held in London between the 27th of December 2019 and the 3rd of January 2020, and it's signed by myself, Robert Davis, Senior Patron and International Goodwill Ambassador of the Parade and Festival, and one of Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenants of Greater London. And I'd like to present this to your band director.